Welcome to Life is a Rollercoaster, a podcast about the past, present, and future of the events and attractions industry. If you like future updates about our podcasts, please like and subscribe.
Welcome to another edition of Life is a Rollercoaster podcast with me, Tracy, and James Mellors again. Just say we are filming this on the 12th of April while everybody's out going to the parks and fairs. And so we've sacrificed that to film you this. Was you planning on going anywhere today, James?
I am actually, yeah. So as soon as we've got this recorded, as we're doing this early in the morning, yes, I've got to get straight off. I'm actually at Alton Towers today.
Oh, brilliant.
Edward is at Fantasy Island. So obviously, so I'm heading down to Alton Towers just to see operations and things there, especially with the 4 temporary rides being in there now.
Yeah, because obviously that came out since we recorded the last one, that you've put some rides in there.
That's right, yeah. I mean, again, the first ones, obviously, we pre-recorded. They've all come out now, so people have been seeing and we've been looking at the comments and
we know people are listening.
Yeah, which is nice. It's nice, and you get
really
a lot of comments and feedback, which is also good, isn't it?
Yeah, and we've got so many questions to get through that people have asked as well.
Okay.
Let's get on with some. The first question that we've had quite a few people ask, which I think is a really interesting question, is within the Mellors, why pink? And obviously, if anyone doesn't understand that, I think Mellors' colour has been pink for quite a while, but we don't know why.
It has, and the honest truth is it was an accident. That's the honest truth. So I think we had the tropical fever at the time, and I remember being at Mark Eaton Park in Derby, and we had the Orbiter, and it was the time that we was just getting ready. I think we was looking to sell the Orbiter at the time, so we must have had the Crazy Shake started being built. So the idea was to sell the Orbiter on. So I don't know. I always thought I was 14. I might have been a little bit older. Might have been 15, 16 maybe. So we had an old Atkinson, which was on the Orbiter, and we was going to sell that. But the idea was to try and clean the lorry up a little bit for selling it, to make it look tidy. So myself and Kiwi decided actually we'll paint it. But at that point in time, I was going through lorry magazines, and I'd seen these lovely colours of lorries that I liked. And it was actually a blended of like a maroon, from a white to a deeper maroon at the back. And I wanted to go to grey chassis, and I actually got that colour from Willie Wilson's Transport, because the one thing I liked about grey is it didn't show the dirt up so much. So the trailers, the chassis always looked cleaner, where ours was red, historically, red with a yellow cab. And the problem with the red is it did show the dirt. And I just wanted to try and keep the equipment looking clean, but going on. Anyway, long story short, we started to paint this lorry. I got it back into Nottingham, completely undercoated it, me and Kiwi. I was only young. First thing I'd ever spray painted, and I'm doing this lorry. And on the day when it come to picking the top coat, I actually forgot my jumper. Now, the sleeve on this jumper had the maroon colour that we wanted, and I'd forgot my jumper. And that was in Derby. So we wasn't going to go back to Derby, and was too excited to get it done. So we went into a paint shop, and it was really dark in there, to be fair. I still remember it. And we got the colour chart out, and I said, that looks like the colour. So anyway, we had it mixed, took it back, and when we opened it in the garage, it was bright pink. I was like, oh my God. But was just too excited. And I said to Kiwi, maybe it'll go darker when it goes on. Maybe when it dries, it will deepen up. So we said, well, okay, let's just put it on. And when we put it on, it didn't deepen up. It stayed bright pink. So I actually banned my dad from going in the garage. We locked the workshop doors. I wouldn't let anybody in there at all until we'd finished this lorry. And even the stripes back then was all painted by hand. So we had an old guy called Harry that used to paint for us in Bulwell, and used to do all the traditional scroll writing. And he used to do my granddad's toy set and things. He came in and taught me how to line. We'd done the stripes, and then he put the James Mellors in the paint on the top. And then I let my dad come and see it when it was finished. And he was taken back, but he loved it. He loved it. And then we drove the lorry to Markeaton while it was open. And if anyone's been to Markeaton Park, you have to drive down a long pathway to get into the park. And I remember there was people in the hot dog stalls and things because they were all open as we were driving past. And I saw someone actually with a hot dog and the roll like that and literally watched the lorry go past. Because, I mean, we're talking, it's nearly 30 years ago. So to have a lorry painted bright pink 30 years ago was very standout. You see them a lot more often now, but that was it. Then we had the pink lorries. My dad loved it. We started to paint. It was more pink cab and grey. And then when we bought the Frisbee, they said to us, well, okay, what colour do you want it? Well, I didn't want a grey chassis on the Frisbee because you could see too much of the trailer. It was part of the ride. So we went pink to match the cab. And then we had the yellow part. And then when we bought the tower, it was the same thing. They said, well, what colour do you want it? Well, let's stick to the same as a Frisbee for now. And that was just how it materialised. And then we bought the mouse, and the mouse coaster was already pink and yellow. That was its existing colours, and it just grew on from there. And that was it.
And it's become such a famous colour for you now as well.
And it all came from a mistake.
All from a little happy accident. That's fantastic. With something that I have personally noticed is that colour going into Fantasy Island as well, because we've noticed little bits of the colour on certain rides as well. So is it like putting your stamp on it?
Yeah, definitely. We've said that. We want to put a bit of pink in everything we do, to be fair now. It's kind of like, it's like you say, it's been known as our colour. In fact, we had the colour done and it was called Mellors Pink because we had to have our special pink mixed. And it was down on the record as Mellors Pink.
Yeah.
However, now we've been using a bit more of a standard colour, to be fair. So it's not exactly the same colour as when we started, but it's still close and people still know it as Mellors Pink.
Yeah, so I think it must be one of the famous colours in the fairground industry. I can't remember anybody else having a colour that by somebody's name, like Mellors Pink.
It was just so different, but I mean, we loved it. I mean, I had so much pride when I was driving the likes of the Big Ben Tower, which was a big lorry trailer, bright pink cab, and you'd go into the town centres and I'd be able to look in my wing mirror and see all these pink and yellow vehicles behind us, and everybody in the towns noticed, which obviously as showman, that's what you wanted. You want people to know when you was on the road. You want people to see when the fair was in town.
Yeah.
So it worked well for us. However, the reason we changed is it was when I think it was 2009, might have been just after 2009, 2010. We was in Liverpool 1, and it was when we was putting the beach in there. And I remember I was actually staying in a hotel which is adjacent to Liverpool 1, and I looked out the window and I could see all these lorries on this £1 billion shopping centre, and they were all bright pink. And I just thought from a corporate point of view, they looked a bit too bright to be on a shopping centre. When you're working there, you needed to be a bit more discreet. So the transport almost needed to blend in and disappear. Yeah. So that was the reason when I started to go white with a few things. And I just thought, well, okay, now that's the kind of market we're going in. We was looking at selling a lot of the rides back then anyway. So the idea was, okay, let's change. But my dad was insistent that we kept a pink stripe in there.
Yeah. No, it's a good colour. I like it.
But yeah, there's a bit of pink coming into Fantasy Island, and it's a colour that will stay with us.
Yeah. The next question that we've had quite a lot, in fact, it's the most asked question, is Crazy Shake. Will you ever get it back? Would you make another one? I think more than a question, it has been a demand of, can we please have Crazy Shake back?
I don't know what state of repair it's in, to be honest with you. I've seen pictures of it in Iraq. I think it was in Iraq. I don't know. I don't think so, to be honest. Now, if the ride's out there, like I said, I don't know what condition it's in. But again, I think I said to you on one of these before, I'd never say never, because if it did come up, I think it's one of those nostalgic pieces that I would actually like to have back. But there would be a lot of rebuilding, I'm sure, to go through it now and make sure.
Yeah. Would you ever go for a new one?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if I had a new one, then it would obviously be like the Mondial one, a bit more bigger again. When we built the Crazy Shake, we built it to fit within the 50-foot positions for the UK market. However, now, with rides like the Magic, we're not really on all of the fairgrounds everywhere. So if I had another one, I'd probably go for a bigger one,
Yeah.
which ideally was what we would have done in the very beginning, but we couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So the position's different now. But no, the Shake, it's still very special to us. I can still remember every little part of the ride in the back of my mind. I could still tell somebody over the phone, I think, how to build it up, how to pull it down, and how to fix things, as long as the obviously owners that's had it since haven't changed anything drastic. But I don't think they have.
Yeah.
So would we have it back? I don't know. Is it on our target list? Unfortunately not. No, not at the moment.
A lot of people have asked if we will do a full podcast dedicated to Crazy Shake. I think we both said that will be on the cards at some point.
I mean, like the whole thing about the Shake. Yeah, you can ask me a lot of questions. I got a lot of memories about building it. I mean, we was trying to get the ride out. Remember being in the factory on Boxing Day working on it. The year before, we put so many hours into that ride. In fact, I got into a routine of about 3 o'clock every afternoon, taking the radio off, which was in the factory, and putting a CD on purposely so that the workers didn't know what time it was. So they didn't hear the news, because I wanted people to stay in there longer and keep working to get that ride out. So there's a lot of memories on that. A lot of memories.
Yeah, right. Next question that, again, we've been asked lots of times, and I think it's one that just about everybody wants to know, is where is Turbulence and what's happened to it?
So Turbulence is actually having some work done. Reason being that there was just being honest on it, really, there was a bulletin that came out from the manufacturers on the rides. We obviously bought the ride back in, which has come from Skyline Park in Germany, and it needed some modifications and work doing to it. So it's just taken time, unfortunately. And with COVID, engineers, factories, people aren't working to full resources. So it's just been taking time, but it's getting there, and it will be coming out. And when it comes out, it'll be freshly painted and looking spick and span.
Brilliant.
So it's coming. It's coming. Just bear with us.
Another question. This was a really interesting one that we've had. Obviously, today is the day when everybody's back open, back out. But going back to, was it November, December time with the Nottingham Christmas Market? Obviously, there was a lot of press around that with what happened. What was your feelings towards that when all that happened?
We were absolutely gutted. I spoke to Edward on the Saturday night, because he was there at the actual market on that day. He was absolutely drained and gutted, because you can only try and do so much. Unfortunately, there was a lot of people. It wasn't as busy as the pictures portrayed.
Yeah.
If you had a look, every single picture that got published was the same pictures.
Yeah.
Those pictures.
I know somebody took some photos from one of the above places down on the market, and it was actually so quiet and socially distanced. You're thinking,
the town was busy. There's no saying it wasn't. Yeah. Up and down Columbus Street in Nottingham, Harrods was busy. You saw that. Birmingham was busy. Manchester was busy. And people can say, well, you should have known the town was going to be busy. But we'd already opened up in the summer, and the town was so quiet. The shops opened on something like, I think it was a Tuesday or Wednesday. So the idea of not opening the market on the Tuesday or Wednesday was to actually allow the rush to the shops, but they weren't busy. So hindsight is a wonderful thing. So no, we were absolutely gutted. And I think as much as anything is because we know we'd done everything we could. We couldn't control the whole town. We knew that from the beginning. But that was the whole idea of downscaling the market. We took out the bars, we took out the ice rink, to try and make the market a festive thing to the city of Nottingham, but not be too popular. But and the market within our area, we controlled it.
Yeah.
Until we got to a point in time where there was certain people that wasn't listening, not wanting to social distance, etc. And then we closed it early. So unfortunately,
I think that's been a big problem throughout it. Is people are saying, well, these places aren't safe, but it's not the places, it's the people, and people need to take responsibility.
They do, and that is the problem. Like you said, with the parks, we can only work on the spaces that's in the parks, and then you can only rely on people to use those spaces efficiently. if
Yeah.
everybody decides to stand in one corner of the park, well, then that area is going to be busy.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a difficult thing, but it's not just, you know, it is hard for the parks. It's been hard for operations, hard to do the queue lines, but I think everybody's doing their bit. And I actually think now, well, I'm hoping, like you said, the people will do their bit.
Yeah.
The customers, and not just in amusement parks, out in the towns, out in the shops and the retail. So it's, yeah, but it was a hard weekend, a hard few days when you just felt like your name and everything you've done was getting dragged through the press, and so many bad comments, when actually as far as I'm concerned, we'd done the responsible thing. We closed it.
Yeah, obviously, I know on the last podcast we did touch on media and showmen. And do you think if it wasn't a showman company, the media would have been as harsh, or do you think that's contributed?
No, I don't think showman's anything to do with that. To be honest with you, I think that was just the media wanted something to write about. Everything was just COVID.
Yeah.
Between ourselves and Nottingham City Council, there was other markets open. You know, we just tried to do something for the city. The problem is it's very hard, even for the council. It's hard for anybody in this world nowadays with social media. If they did nothing and the retail did very bad, and then the high streets are collapsing, as they are up and down the countries, everybody would be jumping on social media saying city council should be doing more for them. They should be doing this, should be doing that. Yet when you try and do something, and then you still get criticised. So I think I tried to stay off of social media as much as I can now, but I still look at a lot of things, but I try not to go into the detail, because the problem is, no matter what you do, unfortunately, you're never gonna please everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to say that now. You know, whatever ride we bring in, whatever ride you do next, whatever colour you paint something, you're never going to please everybody.
Yeah.
The difference is with the Christmas market, you know, for the few complaints and things you do get, we get hundreds of thousands of people visit Nottingham on a normal year, millions, because of the Christmas market.
Yeah.
We booked the National Trent footfall in 2019. So where city centres footfall was dropping, in Nottingham it was busier. So it's hard, because, like I said, we can only all do what we feel is best at that point in time. And the power of social media, unfortunately, is in this country very quick to jump on the criticisms. So no, do I think it was anything to do with showman? No, I think it was just a public story. And as I said, the photographer, whoever took those pictures, it was definitely professional photos, because it was the same photos in every single paper.
Yeah.
If you or I had took them, one paper might have picked it up. So somebody got those photos and publicly sent that out to make a story. So somebody earned money out of it.
No,
Yeah.
I won't get started on that, because I will rant.
Which is the same with everything, unfortunately. Like you said, you know, if there's an incident now, it's about media wanting to sell stories.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing with amusement parks. You know, you get a roller coaster or something that breaks down and stops. People get evacuated. They get evacuated. It's absolutely safe. There's no problems.
It's doing what it should do.
But if somebody can get that picture or that video, and then all of a sudden you just have one kid crying, and somebody, you know, then all of a sudden it makes major news. And that's why, really, amusement parks, fairgrounds records are extremely good safety records, because as soon as we have one minor thing, it's in the news anyway.
No, exactly.
So actually, our records are extremely good, and the people only hear of the odd one or two when the odd one or two happens.
Yeah, it's the headlines that they do, like people stuck on a roller coaster dangling 160 foot in the air. It's like, well, number one, they're not dangling, they're not upside down, and it's done exactly what it should do to stop a major accident happening.
It can get frustrating. I mean, we had a problem with a staff line, the South Bank, a few years back. I can't remember the year, but the emergency brake actually came on, which is fine. It's doing its job. Emergency brake came on. Locked on, so the ride couldn't come down, and the guys couldn't lift it at the time. So while the guys was climbing up there, and then you have to get a hammer to release the emergency brake, and I think there was about 18, 20 people on the ride. Somebody obviously called the fire brigade. Fire brigade came and then said, right, we want to take over the control of this, and they evacuated everybody then with a ladder. And I think it took 5 hours to get everybody off. So then we had to leave the ride. Health and safety executives came in to inspect the ride the next day. I had the ride engineer come out with us. When the health and safety guy let me climb it, it took me 50 seconds from us being to get back on the ride, 50 seconds to be able to bring that seats down. So effectively, if the fire brigade had left our guys for 1 minute more, we would have had all 20 people on the ground. Instead, it took over 5 hours.
Wow.
And they had to climb out dangling seats onto a ladder, which was, for us, crazy. But that's just social media, unfortunately, and things
Yeah.
now. You get a few people, and we're on the South Bank. It's a high-profile location. A few people taking Facebook videos live, and then it just insets panic.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we've drifted with that. But again,
it brings me on to the next question. Really good though, talking about social media. David from Slothy Blogs has asked this one, and that's a little plug for him that he owes me for now. Is what's your feeling towards bloggers?
I like vloggers. I like vloggers. I think you get a lot of honest opinions from them. People are going along there. And I think most vloggers on the parks have actually been positive on the messages. There's not many people that go out there and absolutely rip into things. They might say, oh, that bit could do with this, but it's mainly positive. So I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's good. And I did notice, obviously, when I was building the spinning racer, a lot of people saying, like, oh, are you allowed on there? It's private property. As long as they are out of the work areas, I've got no problem. If people enjoy it, great.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of sad people come down and watch you build spinning racer.
Yeah, I don't know. Although I did see you there.
Oh yeah. Obviously, with bloggers giving their opinions, is there any opinion that's actually gone, oh, that hurts?
I don't think so. Like you said, not the ones that I've seen, but with the vloggers and then enthusiasts, again, going back to the showmen, I know showmen love them. We know a lot of the enthusiasts in our local areas, like Phil, Phil Heath was, Dennis, Dave. We've got lots of people that come to regular fairs and things around Nottingham. And it's actually a pleasure to see them. And they come up and they know us. And, so vloggers, enthusiasts, we like them because it means people like that appreciate what we all do.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be the same for the bigger parks. The vloggers that go in there and look at the detail. To a lot of people, they wouldn't care that the steps had changed colour or an extra sign had gone up or the little bits. But what's actually nice is when you do that people are recognising. And it might not be everybody. So actually, I like the vloggers. I like to watch the feedback on the park when different people do it. I've said this to you before, not just our park. I've watched reviews on other fairgrounds and other parks. So no, I've got no problem.
No, good. The next question that we've had, one slightly different, is about the Fantasy Island caravan.
Is this an all Q&A
saga?
Day, is it?
That we have had so many questions in, we could probably go for about 4 podcasts with just what I've got so far.
Yeah, right. Well, we said we want to get on to other parks and we want to get other people on here at some point.
No, I know. But yeah, just a quick thing about, obviously, if anyone doesn't know, there's been issues with the caravans where certain age caravans have been taken off, and it's caused issues with, it's even been on the news. And what's your take on all that's happened?
A bit, like I said, no matter what you do, you can't satisfy everybody, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We wanted to bring in, we've owned the park for 5 years now. We didn't want to make any implement changes at the time. Then we've decided, well, okay, we want to try and modernize, bring everything up a little bit. What's the easiest, fairest way of doing it? Most caravan parks have age limits, so we decided we was going to introduce an age limit. That way, then we know, safety-wise, caravans are moving on. Aesthetically, hopefully, then everything should look better. But we tried to be fair. We tried to say, okay, we're going to set an age limit on it, but it's not going to implement for a couple of years. But I think the biggest criticism we got was people saying, oh, well, you've just been selling caravans to people and not told them. Well, we can't tell people if we didn't know we was going to do it.
Yeah.
So we couldn't say to somebody that's buying a caravan in June, okay, well, unfortunately, in September, we're going to change the rules, because we didn't know in June. But what we did do is we went back to everyone that we'd sold the vans to and done deals with them to upgrade and do a good deal with them for them to buy a newer one. So if theirs wasn't going to last very long. So I think we dealt with it quite well. Maybe we could have been a little bit more better communication. We've realised where a couple of mistakes went, but a lot of the criticism we've got, to be fair, is from people that rent out their vans on there.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of the criticisms come from.
Yeah.
And they're old vans. They're using it as a business. And obviously, at the end of the day, they're representing our business when they're on there. So we want things set up. And some people are saying, well, my old van was still in good condition. They might be. But the easiest way to do it was just by doing an age limit.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. Bit of criticism, like you say, but we've got broad shoulders. We know we can't satisfy everybody, but we feel, that we did right by the majority of people. We've set an age limit which isn't as which is higher than other parks. We tried to give them time, and like I said, the only people that's getting affected are people that's been on there for numbers of years. The people that have just purchased, we spoke to all them individually. We don't do individual deals with people over social media again, do we? It's an individual deal.
Yeah.
So hopefully now everybody is, that bought the vans, that should all be satisfied and job done, and we can move on.
Yeah.
It's hard when you make a change. And people say, why didn't you give us notice? Well, we didn't know he was going to make that change until that point. In fact, we have given notice. We've given people like up until March next year, and we've done this last year. So we did give people notice.
Yeah.
You can't give people notice on giving them notice. It is. So.
Yeah. The next thing that people, more of a statement again than a question, what people have said is obviously, can we have more people on the podcast? And a lot of people asking for your own dad to come on.
Yeah, no, I'll get my dad on. I think he'll enjoy it, actually.
I'll feel like I have to curtsy.
If we get some good questions and things for him, but he could definitely talk.
Yeah.
Especially about the older times, but yeah, get him a list of questions and we'll get him on. But I mean, I've mentioned this to you before, this podcast isn't just about our business. It's not just about Fantasy Island and things. It was about the industry.
Yeah.
So I will get people on here with us. German showmen. I can get on Americans. I could get on for all different nationalities. I do actually have a pub Zoom sometimes with them. And I tend to have like one person from Holland, one from Germany, so we all sit on there and just talk as showmen, but from all around the world. And it's good to hear everybody's different stories.
No, that sounds good.
So,
I like the sound of that. I think if I had one request, it'd be the ladies from the Future for Fairgrounds.
Yeah, no, they're doing a good job, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm really loving what they're doing.
Yeah.
Really am.
I think they would love to jump on actually and talk. And they're doing a great job promoting, pushing for the fairgrounds, because as you know, through COVID, it's been and it still is difficult. We're saying that everything's opening today. However, a lot of fairgrounds still are not allowed to open.
Yeah.
Even though they're outdoors, even though everything's there in place. The problem has been that a bit like the Christmas market, the powers have been given to the councils, and a lot of councils are still fearful. So it's easier to say no than to give permission. However, with the parks, it's private land, so it's our own thing. But yeah, it's been very difficult. It's been a difficult last 12 months, and I think it still will be a difficult 12 months coming forward for a lot of showmen. So I would like to get them on. I'd like to try and help and promote that side of things, because fairgrounds brings that element of joy to the local towns, doesn't it? It allows people to get out, something different. People do enjoy it. Certain fairs will struggle, I think, because of the 2-meter rule, which is still kept in place.
Yeah.
But there's lots of other fairs where they're fencing them in, doing the monitored entrances, doing the QR codes. So if they're doing all that and everything's in place, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
I know it's like round here over last summer, we had Chippyfields in Skegness with the traditional fair.
Yeah.
And they did really well. And we had Wesley's up in Trusthorpe with their King Loops as well, which went down an absolute storm. And they both did so well because they got the land for the whole season. And I think if councils would let fairs do that and have it for the 6-week holiday, just set up, make sure everything's safe, and just stay open. And it works so well around here. And I've got to give full credit to our council for that. They really went to town to say, have this land, have that land, and just open up.
No, they have, and I think a lot of showmen are doing that this year, where they're actually setting up for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Instead of the weekly moves, because it's a lot more difficult now to keep setting up with the fencing. It's a lot more costly, the cleaning programs, and as we said, a lot of councils unfortunately aren't given permission. So
Yeah.
we can get in one place and get the permission, and they're wanting to stay longer.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? It could be an opportunity. I always try and think of the opportunities. I think I might have mentioned this before when you're coming out of something like COVID. The reason that the UK fairgrounds never had the big rides like Germany and things did is because we was always moving at small fairs, sometimes 3 days a week. So if we take this opportunity and they can get places for 3 and 4 weeks, you know what, that might change the face of the industry going forward. People might start doing that as a more regular. That's what we did when we had Thunderworlds. Because we had up the River Rapids, the Mouse, the Big Ben, it was too hard to keep moving every week. So we wanted to set up 2 and 3 week places. And that's what we did. So this now might set an opportunity for showmen to actually go and get bigger rides. So it's something that could work out as a positive. You never know.
Yeah,
that actually is the busy fairs like your Goose Fair and things.
Yeah, that brings us on to the next question really well. Is, are we going to see the return of some big rides at Goose Fair? And I think a lot of people were looking at the new spinning racer when they was asking that, going, can we have that at Goose Fair?
I'd like to say yes. I'm not going to confirm. The problem we have at the moment is it's just a workload. We've obviously got that at Francis Island Goose Fair is only 5 days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Goose Fair is our local fair, so we'll always be trying to bring something there. So yeah.
Yeah. Going back to when you was talking about the Crazy Shake.
We've got the Rapids again now as well.
And the Rapids, yes. To the Crazy Shake playlist, we're having so many requests that please will you release that?
How do I release it?
I don't know.
How do I release it?
I've no idea.
I mean, but the songs that I've got on there, a lot of the songs when I play them, I actually remember them all from locations.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were talking about it, one of my favorite songs on there was Bad Boys by Inner Circle. And the reason we played Bad Boys, and my dad, even now, if you play it, he knows it's a shake every time. I don't know if I told you or not, but we went to Hamburg originally to buy a Mega Dance. I think I did tell you this. We went to buy the Mega Dance and we went on the shake that rocked and we fell in love with it. And the song that was on at the time was Bad Boys.
Yeah.
And it was that song and the motion of the ride and the movement and the lighting that just made us fall in love. So Bad Boys then became the song that we played all the time on the shake. Because it was the bass line, it was everything that had about it. And then Alexander O'Neill, Fake and Criticise was the very first songs I ever played on the ride at Loughborough Fair. So on the night before opening, a few of the showmen were coming out the pubs, and so it was 11 o'clock at night because they kicked out at the time, and we were still out there working on the Crazy Shake to get it ready for Loughborough. And when they were all coming by, they said, "Can we have a ride?" So we just let everybody go on. So we literally had a complete ride of showmen, and the music. I'll put Alexander O'Neill. So those songs I'll never forget.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how to release it. Dirty Dancing, Time of My Life, that was a good one on there.
In fact, one of my
I remember them all, and people will say to me, "Oh, I remember that song at such and such when you played that on the Crazy Shake." It's weird how songs remind you of a certain time, if you like.
Yeah. I know these little birdies that I have everywhere that tell me little things. One mentioned the other day that you've got a soft spot for KLF.
For KLF?
Yeah.
I can't remember. KLF?
Was it Justified and Ancient?
Oh, no, that was a bit of a racket, that one. No,
I love that one.
No, I can't remember being KLF. Not on the Shake. My favourite songs on the Shake was always the Dirty Dancing album.
Yeah.
She's Like the Wind. Yes. Hungry Eyes. and Time of My Life. And it was usually the closing song on the Shake, Time of My Life. It was like the last ride of the night. I'd always put that one on, and I'd tend to spin the ride, turn all the white spotlights off, red floodlights, so it was just glowing up the red lights on the back of the cars. And it was just, and then when the music come in, dum, and start rolling the cars. So yeah, see, I can still remember, I can still picture it. And I remember like Starship, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now. That one always reminds me of the Top Scan, the Space Roller. Because when I was mining the Space Roller, that was a song I used to love playing on that one. And I remember it at Knutsford Fair, and we was the last ride again, just last ride closing. I had that song on, and the whole place was in darkness apart from the Space Roller, lit up, going round, because it was a beautiful ride, and it had Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now. So there's a lot of songs that mean to all rides, not just the Shake.
Yeah. We're going to finish up with something that I was really surprised at, is people just coming to me with information. And so I want you to set the story straight, if this is true or not, and if it is, what actually happened. Some people that have worked for you in the past and stuff have just randomly inboxed me and gone, oh, ask him about when this happened. So we're going to start with one. Now, I've heard this one from two people, and the one said that it was for Crazy Shake and one said for Big Ben, so we're not sure what ride this happened on. But it's a story about losing a pay box on a motorway.
So that was on Big. In fact, the Crazy Shake pay box, I almost tipped over, and that was on its second journey. So after Loughborough Fair, I took the pay box back to the manufacturers at Sutton to get some work done. And when I towed it to Loughborough, I had all the wood on the back of the pickup van. When I went to pick it up from Sutton, I didn't have any wood. And as soon as I got on the motorway, the pay box was just too heavy for the pickup, and it pulled me across all three lanes. The wheels came off the floor. The front corners dug into the motorway, and the wheels actually went up through the floorboards. And that was on its first journey. That was after.
Wow.
So then I had to get the pay box recovered from the side of the motorway. I didn't tip it over, fortunately, but I didn't have a phone. I remember having to run up the hard shoulder, and I was crying my eyes out. So again, I'd have been 18 at the time, crying my eyes out like a big baby to the orange pay phone, to try and say, I need some help. I need somebody to recover me. Can you call me Dad? And as it happened, Charlie Gooch, who's another showman, was on the opposite side of the road. He saw me turn around and come back. He had a phone on him, and we recovered it because he had a breakdown lorry. So, and then we repaired that, and then it went straight to GMEX. So that was one. But I think the worst one with the pay box was definitely the Big Ben. And we were coming back. I was driving the Big Ben Centre, the big tower. And then I had a driver in front of me with the 8-wheeler, the packing trailer, and then the pay box on the back. And I was following him, and we'd done the Millennium Dome for a New Year. And we're on the way back, and we're just up near Trial Services. And I'm following, and all of a sudden I can see the ride going that way, and the pay box was just overtaken. And then all of a sudden the lights went off on the pay box, and the pay box was in the middle lane now, just still driving down the motorway. And I was like, oh my God. So I got the big ride, and it was, I don't think it was dark because it was early hours of the morning, but I started then just to try and like go across the road with my lorry to make sure I blocked the cars or anybody else that was behind. And it rolled into the central reservation and just stopped. And it literally just marked a tiny piece of beading. And the driver in the front didn't even realize. He just kept driving.
Oh, God.
Because the pay box was a small part of the lorry, he didn't even notice.
Yeah.
So I then pulled over in the outside lane with this big lorry. And what it done, it had actually ripped the tow bar off the back of the lorry in front. So there was nothing wrong with the pay box at all. The tow bar, the bolts had broken and it had come off. So yeah, all I had to do was get in the central reservation, lift up the handle, take the ball coupling out, and then fortunately we had another car behind us. So I just pulled him in front, coupled it up, and drove it off. So it was gone again within probably 3-4 minutes. But it was a very lucky one, very lucky, because
it sounds lucky.
It's scary when something like that happens. And then I think it was that winter, because that was the, like I said, for the new year, we actually then took the pay box and fitted it on the back of the lorry. So if you see the future ones, the pay box then went on the lorry, and we altered the way it all packed, because when something like that happens, you just think, right, how do we stop this again? And the reason being, we think, is just the fact that the pay box was quite heavy, and the ride was on the air suspension. So the ride was quite smooth at doing on the air, and then the pay box was bouncing. And anyway, yeah, that was a.
So I've not even asked for these. People have just given me, and I've got plenty to go at. But I think for now we are just about out of time for today, so we're going to save them for another day. Like I said, there's plenty more to go at.
Oh.
Does that make you nervous?
I am nervous on the Q&A. I'd rather just talk about it. The Q&As make me more nervous.
Oh, we've got most of the main questions over and done with now that people have asked. I just thought it'd be nice to, obviously, because people are listening and they want these questions asked. So I'm just doing as I'm told, really, by them. But like we say,
my eyes keep drifting. I'm trying to look at it there. It's because you're on that side of my screen, so I'm going buzz-eyed.
Yeah, so obviously, I think moving forward with these podcasts is the demand is we definitely need to get people on from different places, different backgrounds in the industry, and have a good natter.
No, well, that's what we'll start doing.
Yeah.
So, anyway, from me, I just want to say good luck to everyone. Like you say, that's out there for the season, and everyone that's going to the parks and everything else, be sensible, keep your distance, keep us open. At the end of the day, we are relying on the customers for the business, but at the same time to keep us open.
Yeah, so, I completely agree. Yeah, so we'll wrap it up there, and then I'll be out and about this afternoon enjoying myself, and you will be at 2 at Alton Towers.
I've got to get going to work.
So that's it, and we'll see you another time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave comments, and if you have got any more interesting stories about James and things that's happened in the past, just let me know. Thank you very much for listening again. See you next week.
You've been listening to Life is a Rollercoaster, a podcast about the past, present and future of the events and attractions industry. If you'd like future updates about our podcasts, please like and subscribe.